Have you ever logged onto the internet and immediately felt like you were drowning in opinions? Everybody's got something to say about anything. Politics, relationships, success. It's like every corner of the web is its own debate stage, filled with people who absolutely are certain they have it all figured out. And if you disagree, buckle up, because you're about to get roasted in the comments. It's overwhelming, isn't it? You know, after a while you start to wonder, am I the only one who feels lost in all this noise? It's like trying to listen to a symphony, but every instrument is out of tune and playing a different song. You want to find clarity, some kind of truth, but instead you're bombarded with chaos. And let's be real, half of it doesn't even make any sense. The funny thing is, the internet isn't just loud, it's persuasive. Scroll long enough, you'll start doubting your own instincts. Suddenly you're questioning your choices, your beliefs, and your own worth. Am I doing this whole thing with life wrong? Why does everyone seem to have it all figured out? Guess what? They don't. They're just better at pretending. Here's the kicker. It's not just the loudest voices online that are wrong. Sometimes we're wrong too, and that's okay. This isn't about pointing fingers or deciding who's to blame. It's about stepping back, quieting the noise, and figuring out what really matters. Together, we're going to unpack whether it feels like everyone on the internet is wrong and why it's okay to admit when we're wrong. How to find your own truth in a world that's constantly shouting over you. The internet is a stage, and everyone's performing. The internet isn't just a tool or just a place to share information. It's a stage. Every social media platform, every blog, every comment section is another spotlight for people to step into. And when you're on stage, the goal isn't to be honest or vulnerable, it's to perform. Think about it. When is the last time you saw someone post about how uncertain they were about their opinions or how unsure they felt about their life choices? Rarely, like if ever. Instead, what you see are people presenting the most polished, curated, and confident selves. This performance isn't limited to selfies and success stories either. It extends to opinions. People share ideas, not because they've thought deeply about them, but because those ideas are loud, provocative, or shareable. Nuance doesn't go viral, hot takes do. And the louder and more absolute the opinion, the more engagement it gets. This is why so many arguments online feel like shouting matches. It's not about finding the right common ground, it's about outshining the other person. And the thing is, it works. The algorithm rewards boldness, not accuracy. When everyone's vying for likes, retweets, and clout, they end up shouting over each other in an endless loop of validation seeking. That's why so much of what you see online is exaggerated or fake. It's a performance designed to grab your attention. Even when people claim to be real or raw, it's actually another layer of the act. They're performing relatability because that's what resonates now. Take Blakebill, for example. So when it launched, there were plenty of critics online, quick to diminish it's unnecessary or just another app. Those voices weren't coming from people who would actually use the platform. They're actually coming from people who wanted to sound a little knowledgeable sounding. But while they were performing, real freelancers, people dealing with late payments and clunky workflows, were actually discovering how much easier their lives came with Blakebill. It's a reminder that the loudest opinions aren't always the most accurate. They're just the ones designed to be heard. Why we're all a little wrong. So again, let's be real. None of us have it all figured out. Sure, we think like we do. We convince ourselves we've got the answers, that we're logical, well-informed, and making the best choices. But if we're honest, most of us are just winging it, leaning on half-formed opinions and gut instincts to get through the day. And you know what? That's okay. Being a little wrong isn't a flaw. It's human. The truth is, we're all operating with incomplete information. Think about how we form our beliefs. Most of the time, it's not through careful analysis or deep reflection. It's through quick assumptions, following what feels familiar, or trusting what someone else does. Maybe it's something you read in a headline or heard in passing. Without realizing it, you've internalized it as fact, even though you've never stopped to really examine it. This isn't just a personal issue, it's a universal one. Confirmation bias, for example, makes us more likely to believe things that align with what we already think and to miss anything else that challenges our worldview. We see what we want to see, and in the age of the internet where algorithms feed us tailored content, it's easier than ever to stay trapped in our own little bubbles. We scroll, we nod, we dig our heels deeper and deeper, even when there's a chance we might be wrong. Being wrong, though, in fact, isn't the end of the world. It's often the start of something better. Some of the most pivotal moments I've seen in life are from realizing that we've been heading down the wrong path. It's humbling, yes, but it's also freeing. It opens the door to growth, change, and responsibility of seeing things in a new way. The problem isn't that we're wrong, it's when we refuse to admit it, when we cling on to certain things out of fear of looking foolish. But again, here's the thing. Admitting you're wrong doesn't make you weak. It just makes you wise. The danger of certainty. There's something seductive about certainty. It feels solid, safe, and reassuring. When you're certain about something, whether it's an opinion, a belief, or a decision, it's like standing on firm ground in a world that often feels chaotic and unpredictable. Certainty gives us a sense of control, and, let's be honest, who doesn't want that? But here's the catch. Certainty can also be a trap. The problem with certainty is that it shuts doors. When you're absolutely convinced you're right, you stop listening, you stop learning, you stop considering other possibilities. It feels good to plant your flag and declare, this is how it is. But in doing so, you often miss out on new ideas, perspectives, and opportunities. Certainty builds walls where there should be bridges, and it leaves no room for curiosity or growth. Think about the last time you argued with someone who was 100% convinced they were right. It's frustrating, wasn't it? No matter what you said, they weren't budging. But here's the thing. We've all been that person at some point in our lives. Certainty feels like armor. It protects us from the discomfort of doubt. But in reality, it can isolate us, leaving us stuck in our little echo chambers. And the internet? It thrives on that. It rewards certainty because certainty is loud and engaging. It doesn't matter if it's wrong, it just matters that it's confident. The danger of certainty isn't just that it makes us close-minded, it makes us fragile. When we build our identities around being right, we crumble the moment that we're proven wrong. Instead of seeing mistakes as opportunities to learn, we see them as threats to our own self-worth. But here's the truth. Growth doesn't come from being certain, it comes from being curious. When it comes to asking questions, staying open to new ideas, and being brave enough to say, I don't know, certainty may feel safe, but doubt is where the magic actually happens. So, what do we do about it? If the internet is noisy, opinions are messy, and we're all a little wrong, how do we actually navigate it? How do we separate what's useful from what's just loud? It's tempting to throw your hands up and tune it all out, but the truth is, we can't avoid the internet. It's woven into the fabric of our daily lives. What we can do, though, is approach it differently. Instead of letting it overwhelm us, we can learn to engage with it in a way that works for us. It's not about fixing the internet, it's about fixing how we interact with it. The first step is to get curious. Not just about the things that you see online, but about your own reactions to them. When you come across an idea or opinion that makes you angry, defensive, or overly excited, take a moment to ask yourself why. Are you reacting because the idea challenges your beliefs, or are you just following the crowd? Developing self-awareness is key to cutting through the noise. It's not about having the right response, it's about understanding why you feel that way you do and being willing to question it. Another step is becoming selective about what you consume. Not every opinion deserves your attention, and not every debate is worth your energy. The internet is like the endless buffet. You don't have to eat everything on the table. Focus on what truly adds value to your life. Seek out content that challenges you to grow, helps you to achieve your goals, or simply makes you just feel good. The rest, just let it go. There's this kind of freedom in realizing you don't have to engage with every comment, every trending topic, or every argument that crosses your screen. Equally important is the willingness to sit with discomfort. Growth doesn't happen in the comfort of certainty. It happens when you allow yourself to feel unsure and uneasy. When you encounter an idea that doesn't sit well with you, don't dismiss it right away. Instead, explore it. What about it actually feels off? What could you learn from it? You don't have to argue with every new perspective, but you should give yourself the chance to understand it. That's how you stretch your mind and clarity in a world full of noise. Finally, remember that it's okay to change your mind. In fact, it's a sign of strength, not weakness. The internet often portrays changing your stance as flip-flopping or lacking conviction. But in reality, it's quite the opposite. It shows that you're willing to learn, adapt, and grow. Don't be afraid to say, I was wrong, or I've learned something new. That's how you stay true to yourself in a world that's constantly trying to pull you in a million different directions. It's not about being right all the time, it's about being real and finding what works for you. The truth about being right. Let's talk about the obsession with being right. It feels good, doesn't it? When you're right, you feel validated, smart, and superior. It's like hitting a bullseye in an argument. It's satisfying. But here's the thing about uncomfortable truth. Being right isn't always what it's cracked up to be. In fact, the constant need to be right can hold you back in ways you might not even realize. The problem with chasing rightness is that it turns into a performance. You stop focusing on understanding or learning and start focusing on proving something. You're not trying to connect with others or explore new perspectives. You're just trying to win. And when you're in that mode, it's easy to miss what's really important. Being right becomes a shield, protecting you from vulnerability, growth, and the possibility of being wrong. Think about how many arguments escalate, not because the topic is critical, but because neither side wants to back down. It stops being about the issue and starts being about ego. But what if we let go of that need? What if, instead of proving we're right, we focus on finding common ground or learning something new? The truth is, the world isn't divided into right and wrong as often as we think. There's usually a lot of gray area, nuance that gets lost when we're too focused on winning. Here is the kicker. Being right doesn't even guarantee happiness or success. You can be right about a decision, a belief, or a course of action and still feel empty or unfulfilled. Why? Because being right is what gives life meaning. What matters more is whether your choices align with your values, whether they bring you closer to the life you want, and whether they help you connect with others. Sometimes letting go of the need to be right opens the door deeper and understanding genuine relationships. Ultimately, the truth about being right is this: it's overrated. The world doesn't reward people for being right. It rewards people for being open, adaptable, and willing to grow. When you shift your focus from being right to being real, you stop wasting your energy on battles that don't matter and start channeling it to what does. It's not about winning arguments or proving your point. It's about finding what works for you and living in that alignment with that. So, the next time you're actually tempted to dig your heels in and defend your rightness, you gotta pause and ask yourself, does this really matter? Chances are it doesn't.